Hey Mark, how's it going?
Hey, Stephen, great. I'm excited to learn about repeating and nested and conditional events.
Awesome. Let's remix this project.
All right, I'm just pressed the remix button and I'm in. Look
Y-
at that.
Yeah, and you'll notice we have our up, down, left, right arrow code already assembled on the left. We did that in a different week, and we're going to come back to the code that's on the cat flying right now because it's slightly more complicated. But I just want to review. Can you please go over to our two clouds, and we'll just show that that code's already in place. And just a bit of a reminder, this is the code that will make the cloud move from the right of the screen to the left of the screen. And we have a second set of clouds that will move from the right of the screen to the left of the screen at a slightly different speed. Today, though, we're going to add something new, and we're going to add our buildings. And right now, I have the buildings hidden, but if you click on that show button where you see that little icon of the eye, right now it's hidden. Yep, we're gonna make them show exactly. And if we go over to our buildings code, you'll notice that code looks very similar to the clouds. And that's because it operates in almost the same way. So really, just like we recreated our clouds, we've now applied the same code to our buildings. And let's see what it looks like when we press on the green flag. There you go. Yeah, so we notice that they are moving, and oh, I notice our clouds are not moving at the moment. So let's go and see why that's happening. Oh, you know why? Because we've clicked on the green flag for that sprite. Let's click on it globally up above. So let's hit the stop sign. And now let's try clicking the green flag from there, and our clouds should be moving. Yeah, not bad. And in fact, already our building is moving at a different pace to at least one of our clouds. So we could certainly go into the building and adjust those variables a little bit to see if we can maybe slow down the buildings a little bit. How would you go
Mhm.
about that, Mark?
That's a great question. And I think that's a math question. So I want it to repeat. I'm here. I'm going to just pull this out for a second because this is saying to go negative. I want it to go in jumps of 8 from the right to the left. That's why there's a negative.
That's
And
right.
I want to repeat that 50 times.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I take this and I make this jump bigger, will it go faster or slower? That's kind of the
Yeah,
question.
and before you hit the green flag, what's your prediction?
Well, now I'm saying to it, I want you to move um, at a rate 50 times at a bigger jump.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking that I've just increased the speed of this.
Oh, let's take a look. Great prediction.
Like
Absolutely. So if we wanted the reverse to be true,
that.
um, and you know what, just for fun, can you go to the Apple sprite and maybe just hide that one so that it's not in our way right now? We'll come back to that in a minute. Awesome. Now we can go back into our building. So if we wanted the opposite to be true, if we wanted the buildings to now move at a slower rate than the clouds, I think you know what to do.
I'm going to go and make that number smaller. So let's
Hmm.
see if that'll work. Oh, yeah.
Not
You
bad,
see,
but what are you
they
noticing
don't,
about how far they travel across the screen?
they, they don't get across the screen. So I got to repeat it more, I think.
You got it. So we're going less steps at a time. Therefore, we're going to need to repeat it more times to get that building all the way across the screen.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. I think that looks great. And
Yeah.
again, reminding you if you're coding at home with us that there's no right or wrong answer here. It's about your game and what you want your game to do and how you want your game to look. All right, so one of the last things we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of interactivity um, to our game. And the first thing we're going to do toward that is bringing this apple into action here. So we're going to go over to our sprite on the far right called Apple. And we got that sprite just by going into the sprite cat below the little button right below the apple actually. That's how you add sprites in case you forgot. But right now, I already have some code for the apple. And Mark, the code I've given you on the left-hand side here. Do you want to try before you assemble this new code? Can you try and tell me what the apple is currently doing if you were to read the existing code that you've?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is a nice one because it's nested.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to pull it out. And so this is a nested code. So I'm going to, for always or forever, it's going to go to a random position, change X by 250. So it's going to go to a random position. It's going to change the X. So it's sitting on the X position, on the X axis,
Mhm.
coming in from the left on the right hand side, and it can repeat again. This is like it can move in that -5, but 32 repeats. So that's why it's really not making it its way all the way to the left side of the screen.
Yeah, that's some good observation there. And yeah, and we've got this new code block called random position as well. And you'll notice that the apple is kind of flipping to different spots, and then, kind of jumping by 250 steps after it goes to its new spot. You can
Mhm.
kind of see that jump up and down, and it's creating a bit of an apple that is more difficult to bite, so to speak. If the cat's goal was to collect apples, um, this would make the game a little harder. And so one of the first things we're gonna do right now, and you've got the code on the right, is try to figure out how we can create a bit of a response so that when the cat comes into contact with the apple, it changes color.
Hmm. So so I'm going to add an if and then statement. So if the cat touches, if sorry, the apple touches the flying cat, then I want to switch the costume to a different color.
Yeah, and we might
So
want to pop over to that middle tab and just sort of demonstrate what that means.
yeah, it's going to go to a purple color.
That's right. So we have
So
costume one and costume two, or in this case, apple and apple two.
let's try it. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Now but now it's always purple.
hmm So that's a really good observation, and I'm wondering if you can help troubleshoot. If you were to try and figure out where a piece of code would go, so that when the game restarts, the apple always goes back to the first costume.
Mm, let's see if I go Apple 1, can I put it right to here?
I think that's wise. Let's give that a try.
So now it goes to the red, but when I touch it, it turns blue.
It turns, yeah, blue or purple in this case. Um,
Sorry.
so yeah, and that's I think for today's purposes, we might be more advanced and want to make that apple flip back to the red state right after it touches the
Yeah.
cat, and we can get back to that later. But for now, let's pop back over to our cat sprite, and let's assemble this piece of code as well, because this will now create um, a conditional statement. So our if statement, um, when the cat is touching the apple. So instead of when the apple is touching the cat, now it's about when the cat is touching the apple. And if you were to describe what should happen in this piece of code, Mark, how would you talk it through?
Okay. So I'm going to talk it through. So this is what it's saying. So when the green light is clicked, it's going to always or forever, so my nesting, if it touches the apple, so if the cat touches the apple, then there's going to be a sound and it's going to last for 1 second.
Yep. It's no, there's going to be a pause, just a pause in the script. So the sound will get started. There'll be a 1 second pause, and then it'll go back to the top of the script forever.
Okay.
Let's see if we can get one of those sounds to play. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I love it.
Pretty cool. So we're hitting almost the 10-minute mark right now, and I think that's probably a good place to stop. For sure, in our session, we'll cover some of the details you alluded to as well, if there's time. But I think this is a good stopping point because we could even, consider this in a very simple way a complete game at this point, because we've covered all the coding sequences that we wanted. We've talked about nested events. We've talked about repeating events. And we've talked about conditional statements and covered all of those in the creation of this simple game.
That's awesome. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay.